What's up, besties? I hope you're having an awe-inspiring day. So about a year ago, I made a video watching some pickup arts content, and in order to do that, I had to give my email to some not necessarily trustworthy people, and that includes signing up to Rake's newsletter. And the emails I've been getting from him are interesting. But like not in a good way, So I guess let's use that to celebrate Andrew Tate, a much more prominent misogynist getting banned from everywhere. Just read a few of them and contrast them with reality, because some of this shit is just insane. I can't believe there are people who fall for this, or people who think this, but I think this is played up to some degree, and yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to read all of it because, first of all, there was quite a lot. I don't really use that email for like my day-to-day stuff, so I didn't check it that often. But there was a lot, and a lot of them were just like either boring, go buy my course type of stuff, or just nothing. I felt like there's point of answering to, and there were more I could read, but I just picked a few because they're quite long, and I don't want to make another hour-long video from this. We'll see how long this will take. So yeah, let's get to the first one I picked. Received this email from a woman on Sunday.
Subject: submitting to my boyfriend. Good morning, I have a boyfriend and I want to learn to be more submissive towards him and obey his needs.
I don't know. I'm not against the one person is more submissive and one is more dominant type of relationship as a rule. And I don't know shit about like BDSM stuff, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought this is supposed to like come naturally. Like you shouldn't need anyone to teach you this. You just be yourself or something. Like I'm not exactly sure that's what this is about. Like, yeah.
I'm already very submissive. While he is at work, I clean his room and cook him food so it's ready when he's home. When he wants something, I buy it for him.
Like here again, there's no one good way things work for anybody. If there's if he's the one going to work and she stays at home, then sure, like I guess it makes sense that she'd take care of most of their chores there. The when he wants something, I buy it for him makes it sad though, because I assume that would mean she spends her own money on that she earned, which would mean that she does have a job. I don't know. This is weird. I'm not going to speculate, especially that. Well, this sounds very real. So and incredibly real. Definitely someone wrote this to you.
I always put his needs before mine.
Yeah, don't do that. Just don't. Unless he also puts your needs first, I guess that would be like kind of romantic, but also kind of like codependent or dependent, depending on or dependent. So like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Don't do that. Take care of yourself.
What are some ways I can submit to him? What would he appreciate to see from me to obey him? Charlotte.
Well, that was like almost definitely fake. I just imagine Derek like with one hand in his pants trying to write this perfect woman. I'm not saying women like this don't exist. I'm just saying they probably don't write emails to pickup artists. Like, there are like trad wife types out there. They exist. But yeah, I don't think these types of women really bother writing to with this type of man. Yeah. Surely went down your back. Derek Ray, enslavement, not seduction. P.S. And of course, if you'd like your very own Charlotte, here's how to do it. And like in every one of his emails, he obviously links his website. Let's maybe take a look because I haven't done that in a while, and I clicked into the link, and I think it's funny to how to use military grade mind control to make a woman addicted to you emotionally. Off to a great start, I guess, with the military grade mind control. These losers are so larpy, I can't. I guess it reminds me of this scam method where scammers purposefully put a few typos in their emails when where they pretend they're like some serious companies because then the people who notice the typos will realize it's a scam and won't interact with them anymore and waste their time to pull out later. Like only the people who don't notice the typos are susceptible enough to fall for this scam, and here only the people who don't notice how absurdly cringe this is can fall for this scam. Um, Below that we have some good reviews. Very cool. Honestly, I don't want to be too mean here, but I get why some of these guys would struggle finding a girlfriend. Like this is supposed to be after the Shogun method, so I don't know. It's weird because it would be more than possible in case you make a course like that to just find some good advice on how to take a nice photo of yourself and put it in your course too. After all, some of the people using it will likely try their chances like on Tinder or somewhere. But why give people actual good practical advice? Misogyny sells better, I guess. Then he gives us his villain origin story, which is the same one I watched in his seminar a year ago. I'm not reading that again. He had a crush on one of his coworkers, went on one date with her, crept her on it, and then was acting obsessive about her for some period of time while she didn't want anything to do with him. And then caught her making out with their old boss, and that was super heartbreaking, apparently. Like, I don't want to be cruel, but I'm sorry, you're creepy. How am I supposed to sympathize with you on this one? Humans have a flaw embedded deep inside their minds, which makes them vulnerable to those who know how to exploit that flaw. The existence of the existence of this flaw in the mind had been scientifically established by famous psychologists like Carl Jung, Alfred Kinsey, and Sigmund Freud. However, given how controversial it is, you can understand why this important finding has been covered up by years of the politically correct mass media. Oh, yeah, obviously. What a pity that these scientists lived in this age of political correctness. Sigmund Freud, for example, was never allowed to say or write anything sexist. Like that women are the source of all evil because every bad thing a person does is actually the fault of their mother. Never. There's no way that what they said is just outdated because they didn't really have this type of scientific method we have now, no way the people 100 years ago had weird, quirky opinions and things. Yeah, people in the 20th century were correct on everything, actually, when it comes to like mental health stuff, how to run a healthy society. Yeah, yeah, no bad philosophies going on whatsoever back then. None. A woman has absolutely no control over who to fall in love with. Think about it for a minute. What could this mean? Pretty simple, actually. It means that women don't get attracted to men just because they consciously decide to feel it. In other words, it naturally happens. Try asking your female friends what made them attracted to the last guy they were with, and they would tell you the same thing. That it just happened. Of course, you already know that nothing just happens without a reason. No, since a woman can't control who to feel attracted to, we can we can subtly compel her to feel attraction, as long as we have the ability to push every single attraction button that is hardwired into her mind. Yeah, not really. I guess there are things that people generally find more attractive, but falling in love with is a process, and it's more than possible to assess whether or not is a good idea. But again, the truth wouldn't sell to incels as well as this type of fantasy. So yeah, like I guess there are traits that are universally like considered more attractive. But yeah, it's not about these sort of weird games. For us, guys, our attraction buttons are pushed when we see specific physical qualities in a woman, like a body and a facial symmetry, breast size and shape, and waist to hip ratio, for example. For a woman, however, it's completely different because she is driven only by her emotions. Of course, men have no emotions. If you're a man out there and you feel, I mean, you sense that an emotion is coming into your brain, just bottle it up. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, and also, anger is not an emotion because if it was, then someone could suggest men are very emotional, and they're not. As Derek himself said, they look at shit like your boob size or fucking facial symmetry over your actual qualities, like, your personality, skills, interests, the type of things that actually will contribute to a happier relationship. And the rest of this website is just long descriptions of what Derek says he sells. I'm not reading all of that. It was probably all included in his long fucking seminar I watched. Go to that video, I guess, if you're really curious. Now let's read some more emails. Let's call a spade a spade. Women are liars. Well, that's a bit mean. I actually tried searching this up and the results are mixed. Frontierson says men are 4% more deceptive than women. I've seen The Guardian saying women lie more, but it's because they're just nicer, which I think is what Derek's newsletter illustrates actually. Economics Times says men can get away with lies twice as much as women. Some CBS News article also said men lie more, though it's almost a decade older than the Frontierson one, so I guess it's better to go with the first one, especially that this is not just like a news site, it's scientific. Uh, generally, most stuff I've seen suggests, first of all, that there are differences in lying patterns in general, but second, that it's probably either like equal or men who lie more. So there's that. Also, I guess saying that one gender lies more in general evokes a very emotional reaction, which is, obviously what Derek wants. He wants to make the man reading this mad at women. But if we look at this logically, like Derek says he is, we have to understand that some types of lying are at worst morally gray. Like when I tell a child that I love their drawing they made for me, even if for me it's actually just a bunch of random scribbles. Is it wrong? Should I be honest and tell them it looks like shit? Uh, should I really just crush their dreams at the very beginning? Or maybe I should encourage them so that they do better in the future, and tell them I love it because that's a nice thing to do, you know? Like, practically speaking, is lying worse than cutting their wings or however you want to call it? Think for once, please. But why do they lie? The reason might surprise you. Let's dig a little further onto this. Try this experiment. Go confront the woman that you've been interested in. First, confess your feelings. I love you. I think about you day and night. I can't imagine living a life without you. Next, pose the question: would you like to be my girlfriend? Then sit back and watch the automatic female excuse generator spring to action.
I don't know, I'm just not ready yet. I like you, but that time's not right. Let's just be friends first, okay?
At least for reasons? No. Well, I think they can be. Most likely, the women in question are just trying to be nice and spare your feelings as much as possible. But go on. To me, whenever I hear excuses like that, I come to this conclusion. The woman is completely dominating the guy who's running in circles and draining effort to win her over. What a disaster! Oh, women aren't these beasts preying on you and trying to hurt you whenever they can and are just trying to be nice to you. You know, often people are just not interested and try to be as delicate as possible when rejecting you. Like, would you rather hear, "I don't know, I'm just not ready yet," or "Oh, fuck off, you're ugly and you have a personality of a piece of drywall"? uh, Choose your fighter, I guess. Also, on top of that, it might statistically not be that possible that a woman gets hurt after rejecting a man, but it does happen. It happens far too many times not to keep it in the back of our minds in situations like these. So it is a bit scary, you know. But yeah, you know, women are the emotional ones, right? It's not like some men will literally commit murder for being rejected. No. I get it. You're going through some big emotions when you're rejected. That's a lot of pain. Everybody knows this. People who are willing to and people who would purposefully hurt others like this are awful. But honestly, I don't think these are such terrible replies. Um, that's literally women trying to make it the least painful possible. Yesterday we sold the 23,584th copy of the Shogun Method. Something tells me that's not true. Yeah. My assistant Kathy tracks this number and reports to me every day. And since personal coaching is influenced with the program, you can imagine how many emails and phone calls I get from clients every single day. What my clients tell me are strictly con- what my clients tell me are strictly confidential. But what's clear is that these are a very obvious pattern of behavior across all these women who are giving my clients endless problems, confusion, and heartache. What happens is that
Guys are so hungry for approval from women that they are completely blind to this fundamental nature of female species. She lies. And the worst lie that she can tell you, the kind that gives you a false sense of hope.
I guess that's like the complicated part. You try to be nice and you try to avoid hurting their feelings as much as possible, but you end up not being firm and pronounced enough. Again, I don't think this is malicious though. It's not about manipulating anyone, it's about protecting their feelings, and it's backfiring, kind of. Yeah,
Women often tell these lies of false hope variety because of two reasons. One, they want to avoid the discomfort of having to confront your sad face with their rejection. And two, they want to keep you around as an option for future use as an emotional tampon.
okay. This is going to be an anecdote, and anecdotes aren't technically good arguments, but I don't care. That's all Derek ever uses anyway. In my whole life, I met one girl that acted like the number two here, and shame on her. Her her behavior is awful. I'm not saying they aren't there, and maybe if you surround yourself with different types of people than I do, it's a bit more common there. But all in all, I don't think this is that common. And I definitely don't think the right answer to this is deciding to be a toxic piece of shit towards all women because of that. Also, emotional tampon. Uh, Emotional tampon. I'm sorry, but this is objectively funny. I know nothing can be objectively funny, but this is. Uh, I am not sure if it was supposed to be because the tone of this seems quite angry, but emotional tampon. Uh, I love this.
I hear this from guys all the time. She likes me. She told me that it's just not the time yet. Across thousands of guys I coached, I've learned that this is almost always false. Cold hard truth. She didn't like you enough to take the plunge and be with you. And obviously, she didn't like you enough to give up on the other guys and commit herself to you.
Yeah, she just wasn't interested like that in you. Happens. I think the language here is very strange. I can't quite wrap my head around why it feels so wrong, but yeah, it do be like that sometimes. I'm sorry. Happens.
Women lie. So what to do about this? Stop worrying about getting lied to. It's a given. It's in your nature. However, you can fix the problem by making it irrelevant. Here's how. 1. Stop giving her the opportunity to lie to you. This means that you shouldn't ask her leading questions like, would you like to be my girlfriend? Are you interested in me? Do you think you want to be with me? Quit it. 2. Conceal your emotions. You should never make it obvious to a woman that you're interested in her. Inside the Shogun method, this is known as precondition number 2, that you should conceal your intentions until the seduction is complete. By observing this rule, you'll keep her wondering if you are really interested in her, and at the same time prevent her from lying to you. 3. Highlight her flaws. Pointing out the shortcomings of a woman is something most of her potential suitors won't do, but they should, and I'll tell you why. It may sound crazy to insult a woman you want to attract, and yet it will help you in a couple of ways. It shows her that you're not desperate, and you're not going to be nice just to win her favor. and it communicates to her that she doesn't have to lie to you in order to protect you from feeling bad. To highlight her flaws, you can say something like, seems that you were waiting too long to get attached to someone, or I'd go crazy too if I stay single for too long. As an added bonus, you'll introduce some healthy tension into the relationship, into into the interaction with her, which has the effect of spiking up her attraction levels for you. If you want more help with this, sign up for the Shogun method below.
Uh, I read it all at once to just finish up this one because we're working with flawed premise already. Yeah, you should never make it obvious to a woman that you're interested in her. Honestly, it depends, I guess. I get that at the beginning when you just have a crush on someone, but there isn't really an emotional connection between you two. You should take smaller steps than just immediately asking them to fucking marry you. But I don't think this is what that means here. And for the third advice, I don't know. Seems rude if it works that well. Um, and like also the one about hiding your emotions, just generally weird. The third advice. Initially, I thought he wants to like legit just insult their appearance or intelligence or whatever, and this is just trying to be more chill, which in itself seems like a good advice. I guess I give him a point here. Like be chill. Don't be weird. But I'm not quite sure if these exact quotes will do it for you. You know, they may be a little sus. At least to me, they would be. So, yeah. Also, remember Casey Zenza, another pickup artist we talked about in that old video? I've been searching for emails from him too, and apparently he's selling some financial course now, too. So, that's worrying. Aside from that, I also got quite a few messages from him, but they're all like, buy my course, buy my course, buy my course, without anything special written there, so I guess I'm not reading these. Okay, just one last email from Derek and we're wrapping this up. These are surprisingly long, and yeah. My video is surprisingly long and we only got through like, what, two? Yeah.
Shogun method in 3 words. Enslavement, not seduction. The word enslavement triggers many people out there. I understand. It's not the most politically correct thing to say these days, is it?
Uh, really? No. Why wouldn't people like that? That's impossible, my guy. What? What? Who would have thought?
But here's what gets me though. Those sensitive lily livered pussies who get pissed off with the Shogun method. Most of them have never even read the book. That's crazy. I mean, if they want to talk shit about something, at least try to understand it first.
Or like they have morals? Like I don't need to read a book about how to kill puppies in a microwave to tell you that it's evil. If you would, and if you would ever do this, you should go get psychological help. And yeah, I would not like you. That's also an option here.
You know what? I don't blame them. Shogun method is probably a leap too far for them intellectually.
Or they don't want to waste their money and time on someone like you. Like, even if whatever he sells was reasonably priced, which I haven't checked now, but probably isn't, I don't think he's the type of person who should be financially supported in what he's doing. Go find a real job instead of preying on incels. Seriously, this is gross.
And yet, it has never stopped their feeble little minds from imagining all kinds of crazy shit about shoguns.
I don't know, man. All I've commented on was what you put out there, and most of it is crazy shit. Um, this even really feels like a parody, doesn't it? Like, so they're so triggered. They are, not me. Sorry, man. Uh, yeah, that is unimaginably cringe. I really feel bad for people who fall for this.
For one, these insane motherfuckers think we go around putting women in chains and throwing them into cages. After all, that's what enslavement really means, right?
Or we know how language works and still don't like you. Impossible. Yeah, it seems more plausible, but obviously Derek is writing this thing to get an emotional reaction from the dudes interested in his little cause or whatever. Like, no logical arguments are needed here. Uh, exists. Just trying to present people who dislike him as a group you wouldn't want to align yourself with because oh they are so triggered they don't even want to read my book. Yeah, I don't know. Go get help, please. Stop it.
Okay, to be clear, no, we don't chain women up. We don't lock them in cages either. Except, of course, when the situation calls for it. The only time I had tied Persephone up was when she, while drowning in camel ecstasy, had begged me to cuff her slender wrist onto the bedpost. She was the one who asked. No, stones of kinky perversion. No, stories of kinky perversion aside. What does enslavement really means in the context of Shogun method? Glad you asked.
No, I did not.
And here's my answer. Emotional slavery.
Oh, really? No, for sure you are so misunderstood in this. It's totally not like that. That in itself seems larpy as shit, stupid, and if it was somehow real, just plainly wrong. Definitely you just got misunderstood. I don't know, get yourself like side bangs and go listen to some My Chemical Romance now. That may help.
Like it or not, we are slaves to our emotions. Of course, we like to think that we are rational beings and we consciously choose what we think and do. That's baloney. We do what we feel like doing. As my favorite historical figure and wisely a non-feminist Margaret Thatcher once quipped, people no longer think, they feel.
Yeah, and I feel like pissing on her grave. Appeal to a false authority, obviously. One more logical fallacy from Mr. Not Emotional. People no longer think they feel. I don't think she's like the type of authority to even. She's the type of authority to even comment on like how humanity have changed from thinking to feeling. But we have much better. We have much more developed science today, and if anything, I think we think more, if it's even possible to think more than previous generations. I guess we have more access to knowledge to base our opinions on than just guessing or relying on our intuition on other things that are just like emotion based. But why am I even arguing with Margaret Thatcher? She was so awful. God, I'm really fucking glad she's dead.
And guess what? Women are more prone to acting on feelings than men. That makes them slaves to their emotions.
Okay, so I guess let's finally try to tackle this claim, repeated by misogynists all around the world, constantly. Are women more emotional than men? Not really. Google is free, and if you just type "Are women more emotional than men?" You will get a whole list of results saying like, no, not really. But these types prefer not to use facts, so I guess I rely what I understand down now. Firstly, we must remember that there are different methods of measuring and types of emotions. Different studies were focusing on, and also that men and women, and also that there is a difference when it comes to expressing these emotions, like in particular between men and women. Like men tend to be more angry, women tend to be more sad, these type of differences. And also and this shocked me too when my friend who studies psychology told me about this, but it's true, like I fact checked him. uh he's smart, but you know, I had to fact check it. This is just too big. A surprising number of psychology studies can't be reproduced. Like more than half of them. So I don't know. I guess we must remember that too. That's very weird. That's yeah. Women tend to be more emotionally expressive than men. That's true. But it doesn't mean that they experience more emotion than men do. Men often tend to exhibit restrictive emotionality, which is having difficulty and fears about expressing one's feelings, and difficulty finding words to express basic emotions, and is correlated with an increased risk of certain anxiety disorders. I guess here and there the whole talk about toxic masculinity and the awful effects it has on men. Uh, while people like these pickup artists decide to keep on reinforcing harmful stereotypes that contribute to it. Um, there are also cultural differences in emotional expression, which could point to our environment having a huge impact on gender differences here. Though some of it is likely biological too, like yeah, sure, especially like on a hormonal level. Um, all that to say, you can just treat women being more emotional as an obvious fact, because it's not that's not an obvious fact.
Now, here's when it gets interesting. If a woman is enslaved to her emotions, then whoever who controls her emotions will be her master.
And whoever spews bullshit like this is gross. No further comment needed on this sentence.
So there's only one thing to do if you want to control your woman. Control her emotions. And that's what Shogun method helps you do. All day, every day. Our detractors know this, and they're not happy. Shogun method will finally tip the scales to our favor, and this lights up and this lights a fire under their fat, sweaty ass.
So like they're fat and sweaty, but you don't want, but they somehow get more pussy than you. Oh, that is weird. Why would they? Why would they? Uh, at least that's how at least that's how I'm interpreting it, because yeah, if you call your enemies pussies, I assume you're calling men pussies, because calling women pussies is weird. If you're calling men pussies, I'm assuming you talk about like straight men. So yeah, do straight men not want to be with the women, or do other straight men just maybe have better methods than you? Um, what do we think it is?
They want me to stop helping guys like you. They want me to shut Shogun method down. They want me to stop using the word enslavement. Fuck all that. I'd rather drag my balls across broken glass than to give in.
Oh really? Prove it. Do it. I'm waiting. A video where it didn't happen. Uh, yeah, for you, Lou. That's a cult leader speech. Uh, Imagine spewing such a hateful message and then trying to play the victim when people criticize you. Uh, yeah, that is insane. Uh, get help seriously at this point. If any of this is sincere, go get help. You need it.
And as a shogun, I want you to do the same thing. Stand your ground. Never ever give in. Because from now until eternity, enslavement, not seduction, that will never ever change. Just like your woman. How she thinks and feels about the rules set by Mother Nature. And these rules are immutable, carved in stone. They will never ever change.
So if these rules really are set in nature, if they really are immutable, carved in stone, as you said, why do you have to try so hard to maintain them? If it's so obviously the right natural way, let's forget that appeal to nature is also a logical fallacy for a second. If that really was the case, shouldn't that mean that shouldn't that mean they just happen on their own without listening to advice from some obscure little course or book or whatever you're selling at the moment? Shouldn't it be hard? Shouldn't it be like hardwired into our brains and just, happen on its own? Like, shouldn't we want this? Okay, that's enough for me for now. Let's wrap this up. In the end, I think it's really sad that our society is at a point where people like this can earn money this way. There is a lot of people out there struggling to get into romantic relationships, and they are, and then they end up falling into this pipeline, leading them to hating the other gender. Femsters are a thing too, though they're also surprisingly misogynistic. This type of content is targeted at lonely men specifically. Though obviously these types of things affect all of us. Loneliness sucks. Feeling unloved or even unlovable sucks. And people like that prey on these terrible feelings to monetize them. And it only illustrates how sexist our society still is, that it's possible to send men this type of messaging. I am in no place to give out elaborate dating advice, but one advice I'm sure of is that we're all people, and this type of dehumanizing mindset will not help you in the long run. And honestly, I think there could be like good dating advice made. Like I've been thinking about it. Like even the example with the photo, right? Right, you could make a channel about helping people to date, like about helping them build confidence and teaching them right how to take a nice photo of themselves, or like maybe there are people who struggle with hygiene related stuff, or like with cleaning their own house. Like there are these channels. I've seen one recently when there is this uh man giving like dad advice, and this is really good. He just talks about doing stuff around the house and how to do it and teaches that to people who maybe don't have anyone to teach them this type of stuff. And there's a lot of practical advice you can give to people, like even like fashion wise, like someone could make a video or like a course or like a write it in their book that like, hey, if you're struggling with fashion, here's a few advice on how to build better outfits for yourself, or there's a lot of practical things you can say without being sexist in the way. Why that? Why be like this? I mean, for money, obviously. Good advice. Sometimes things aren't pleasurable to hear. Like, these guys would rather hear that they are supposed to dominate everything, and their role is to be ruling women like they're slaves, and not just, hey, maybe you should try this type of clothing. Oh, hey, that's how you take a nice picture of yourself. Oh, hey, here's how to find confidence in yourself. And hey, you don't have to, uh, search for love immediately, like right now. It will be cool to find it, but you need to have a healthy approach to it. This genre of advice probably isn't selling that well, which is a pity. But yeah, I think that's all from me for now. I I hope at least something that I've said was in any way useful to you, or you had a laugh. You have any more thoughts or actual advice? I would love it if you left a comment. Left. I would love it if you left it in the comment section down below. And for now, just stay safe, stay hydrated, and peace.